Hello everyone. So as you guys have already read, in this video I will be talking about Russia. And this country has been taking the spotlight in almost all the news channels recently, and you guys must be eager to know why and what's the major reason for it, right? So I'll be talking about that, and it's very interesting actually. So let's get right into it. Russia gained a lot of attention during World War I. In 1914, Russia entered World War I as a reaction for Austria-Hungarian army's declaration of war against its ally Serbia, and Russia fought battle on multiple fronts while being isolated from its Triple Entente allies. The word Triple Entente is from French, which basically means friendship, understanding and agreement. It's an informal understanding between the Russian Empire, the French Third Republic and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. And then in 1916, the Russian army nearly destroyed the entire Austro-Hungarian army. But the people's distrust against the regime, it deepened a lot because of rise of cost of war, rise in casualties because the war was prolonged for so long, and also due to the rumors of corruption and treason. This led to the revolution, the Russian Revolution of 1917. The revolution resulted in the replacement of the monarchy system with something which is called as a provisional government. But this provisional government did not go well with the citizens of the country. Provisional government was replaced by someone known as Vladimir Lenin, who led the October Revolution. Vladimir Lenin gave full power to the Soviets, and this led to the creation of the first socialist state in the world. After Lenin's death, Stalin took over the leadership position. He tried to bring in some changes to rules and amendments into the society. But this changes, during these economic and social changes, he sent a lot of them into penal labor camps, including the people who opposed his rules and ideas. So this greatly created a distrust among the people again. So he tried to bring one more change. And this change was that until then, Russia was an agrarian society, and he wanted to change that into an industrial powerhouse. But this transition did not take place smoothly, right? There was a lot of misinformation and corruption, and this resulted in the Soviet Union famine of 1932 to 1933. Around 8.3 million people died during this period. After this came the World War II. Soviet Union entered the World War by invading Poland, and this was with the help of the Nazi Germany, and later they conquered Finland, Baltic states and a part of Romania. But after that, the Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. And initially the Nazi Germany had a lot of luck in battling against the Soviet Union, and they defeated them. But after a certain period of time, the luck extinguished. And then they lost in the Battle of Stalingrad, they lost in the Battle of Kursk. And then the Soviet Union just steamrolled through the Eastern and Central Europe. And then in 1945, they conquered Berlin. Something happened in 1985. Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Soviet leader, he wanted to bring in some amendments into the Soviet system. So he launched Glasnost and Perestroika, an attempt to end the period of economic stagnation and to democratize the government. But this was not appreciated by majority of the people. So this gave rise to separatists and nationalists. So prior to 1991, Soviet Union was the second largest economy in the world. But during its final years, it was in a crisis. High budget deficit along with capital flight was a huge burden, and this just led to the Russian financial crisis in 1998, and this just led to the further decline of the GDP. And then on 31st December 1999, President Yeltsin resigned from his post. President Yeltsin's popularity was so low that his approval rate was mere 2%. So after his resignation, the chosen successor was the recently appointed Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. Putin then won the presidential election of 2000 and 2004. Due to high oil prices, foreign investment and prudent economic and social policies, Russia's economy just bloomed tremendously. Russia's standard of living increased as well as its influence on global politics. But in 2008, Dmitry was chosen to be the president, whereas Putin was chosen to be the prime minister. And this was majorly because the constitution barred Putin to serve 3 consecutive presidential terms. But later again, in 2012 and 2018, Putin was selected to be the president. So in 2020, it came into effect that Putin can serve 2 more 6-year presidential terms after his current term ends. And then on 24th February, Putin announced a military operation on Ukraine. But why did he exactly do that? Well, one of the reasons is his dislike towards NATO. You guys already know about the establishment of NATO and Warsaw Pact. Warsaw Pact was established more of like a counter when West Germany joined NATO in 1955. But when the Soviet Union disintegrated in 1991, NATO promised Russia that if it terminates the Warsaw Pact, it will not include the eastern countries which were originally in the Warsaw Pact alliance. So Russia ended the pact. But I think NATO forgot about the promise because later it included the countries like Estonia, Latvia, Poland and Romania, which were originally a part of the Warsaw Pact. NATO currently recognizes Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia and Ukraine as future aspiring members of NATO. But Putin definitely does not want Ukraine to join NATO, and this is majorly because if Ukraine does join NATO, then the US Army has direct access to the Russian borders. The other major reason could be the interdependency between the European nations and Russia. Russia depends upon Europe for revenue, but the European nations depend upon Russia for natural gas. That is, Europe's 1/4 of natural gas comes from Russia, as well as it also depends upon Russia for crude oil. So imposing heavy sanction on Russia is kind of difficult because then the dependents will be the sufferers. USA since 1960s has been trying to reduce the dependency of the European nations on Russia. When Putin became the president, he brought in social and economic policies depending upon the geopolitical requirements. Ukraine had been receiving heavily subsidized natural gas until 2000s from Russia, but when the Ukrainian president who was pro-Russian was replaced by someone who supported the Western countries, then the Russian natural gas supplier demanded Ukraine to pay the full amount. Ukraine declined, and then Russia supplied enough natural gas through the pipeline for the other European nations, and thus supporting the statement that Ukraine is not a very reliable country, and used that reason to establish another pipeline called Nord Stream. Nord Stream not only inflicted annual loss of $70 million on Ukraine, but also increased the dependency of Germany on Russia. Not all the European nations depend upon Russia to the same extent. Like countries like Portugal and Spain depend upon Russia for a very small extent. But Germany, the largest economy in Europe, depends upon Russia for about 75% of its natural gas and 30% of crude oil. Now, Nord Stream 2, which is an expansion of the original Nord Stream, was approved by the German government in 2018, and then its construction was completed in September 2021. But there has been some regulatory delays in its launch due to the pressure of US government on the European countries. Once functional, Nord Stream 2 would ensure higher levels of export from Russia to Germany and bypassing Ukraine and other countries through which it transits right now. This is added to the US worries as Russia would no longer perhaps be held hostage by the pro-West countries such as Poland and Ukraine. And Russia believes that Kyiv has been using this window of opportunity to mount a military offense to retake the separatist regions and unilaterally try to break the agreement made under the Minsk Accord. Russian troops thus moved into the Donbas region on 24th February to deter Kyiv from launching an offense against the breakaway states. So basically, these collective reasons are the cause for Russia's attack on Ukraine. What do you guys think? Whether Russia was fair or not? Please do type it out in the comment section. And if you guys think the video was good, like, subscribe and press the notification icon so that you'll get to know about my further videos. Until then, see you.